Good evening, Vancouver. Welcome back to Canucks After Dark. It is Monday, November 19th, and not the best week in Canucks land, but we got 5 games to touch on. We've got a lot of other news going on, but as always, to break down with me, my co-host, Canuck Clay. How are we doing this evening?
Parker, I'm always happy to be with you. Thank you to you for allowing me to move the show to today. And thanks to all of you viewers for being here tonight. I had to work last night. I had to work all weekend, so I didn't see any of these games. But I had tonight's on, and I heard it was close. It looked exciting, but you're going to have to tell me. But a loss is a loss, and we got to figure out how to win at home. I think that's an issue.
Yeah, 3 wins at home this season. It's not great. 3-5-3 at home. Of their, of their 18 games so far, they've played 11 at home, and a pretty favorable schedule, right? As we've talked about a number of times. So to be 9-6-3, right? It's not like the wheels are coming off. Points percentage wise, they're right in the mix, in the upper half of the Pacific Division. It's without Thatcher Demko. It's with Pettersson having a tough start. But as we know, it's not a linear road, right? There's a lot of bumps and bruises to get through, and obviously we've had a lot in the last 10 days or so, I would say, that we're obviously going to talk about a bit tonight, and all of it sort of culminating in a week where the Canucks have a homestand where they win 2 games out of 6. So, out of their 11 home games, technically that's an improvement on number of wins, slightly, not necessarily points wise. But it was just a pretty ugly week, right? A pretty bad loss to the Islanders last Wednesday. A pretty tough loss to Nashville, over the weekend. And then of course there's the game tonight where they've played okay. Obviously everything statistically they were beaten, right? Shots wise, 33-24. We can go into the analytical stuff shortly as well, but they hung in there tonight, but this is a results based business, right? And the Canucks aren't getting those results, especially on home ice.
And Parker, you and I have both done this long enough, both collectively and individually, where you can really justify and explain anything you want. You could take all the positives from the season that are so far, and there have been some, and paint a picture and say, yeah, we're fine. The Canucks have not found their game. They're 6-1 away. Now they're going to go away, and they're still hovering, battling for a playoff spot. And you can say that, but then you can also point to all the things that haven't gone right, especially the home record that you talked about, and that's just on the ice. And then there's a myriad of issues, leaves, injuries. There's just never a dull moment with this team. And I guess it's great for us, Parker, as content creators, but I would love a tiny bit more certainty and a bit more stability. But it's still early in the season. Well, we're actually almost a quarter of the way through already. Oh, crazy.
Yeah, 18 games in out of 82. I don't know what the math is on that. I can check real quick. Yeah. It's 22% of the way through the season. So, over a fifth of the way through. We still haven't seen Thatcher Demko, although, that's something we'll talk about. It sounds like we've heard the word imminent now, which who knows what that might mean. We can pull up the dictionary definition if we need to. It sounds like he's close and really a good time, because goaltending has been a problem over the last week or two. But like I said, we also have 5 games that we want to touch on. We're not going to go goal by goal tonight.
No time.
Frankly, we will next week, when there will be a single game for us to talk about.
We're going to do a breakdown of every goal.
And we will spend 15 minutes on each goal. But tonight there have been 4 plus 7 is 11. Plus 5 is 16, plus 8 is 24, plus another. There's been 31 goals in Canucks games over the past, since our last show, which was last Monday. So in the last 8 days, that is too much for us to spend any time on any of them except the Lekaramaki goal. But that might be the only one that we really talk about. Well, those sort of, broad game stories, as we recap the last week. And then we'll spend some time on the bigger stories with the Canucks over the past few days.
the bigger stories. Do you want to go backwards or forwards?
Oh, I mean, there was a game tonight. Maybe that's the
Yeah,
one we spent a little time on,
sure.
with the Rangers in town, and that's probably the best way to go. And then we can work in reverse order,
All right, let's do it.
from there. But even this one, we don't need to spend a ton of time on.
Yeah.
Um, One big thing for this game is the Canucks started out strong.
Yeah.
It's been a big issue for the Canucks for this entire season. They've been allowing the first goal at such a high rate. Shorty mentioned us down on the broadcast that the Canucks scored 23 times in the first 5 minutes of games last year, right? So one in every 3 nights, one in every 3.5 nights, the Canucks were scoring within the first 5 minutes. I
Wow.
think they've done it 2 or 3 times this year. Like it just isn't, it just hasn't been happening, but it's happened to the Canucks a lot, and it even did tonight.
Yeah.
But this one starts off with a nice Quinn Hughes goal, just like really nice Quinn Hughes goal. The Canucks genuinely came out flying for the first 2 minutes of this game. You could see that, sort of the Pettersson, Sherwood, DeBrusque line was moving tonight all night. They were really the Canucks' best line. Quinn Hughes, obviously, is Quinn Hughes, made a nice move and scored. But then they just lost it, right? They gave up 2 goals in the first. After that, Zibanejad scores 2 minutes later. This one I thought was, at first I was like, oh, she loves letting in a long goal from the point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet tip, though. Nothing you can do about that. Really, this period ends 2-2. Sherwood was scored a really nice goal. Pettersson with a nice play into the zone, nice pass right on the tape. Sherwood with a good shot. Really, the big stories for tonight, though, Kiefer Sherwood playing with Elias Pettersson looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's crazy. On Tuesday nights, Parker, I bowl, and our warm up is from 7 to 7:15. You probably know where I'm going with this. Very rarely do I finish my warm up and there's 2 goals already scored in a game that starts at 7:08. So it was pretty crazy. And then the whole game looked pretty loose. I don't know. I only saw it kind of out of my peripheral with no sound on. So it's very hard for me to get a gauge of the game, but it looked quite entertaining. And that first period was 4 goals. That's a lot. Like Shesterkin allowing 2 goals in 20 minutes. That's a lot. So I was happy to see that. It looked like it was going to be an entertaining game. So you have to tell me if it actually was when you have the sound on.
Yeah, no, it frankly was. This was a game that could have gone either way. It's probably not a game that either coach loved, really, right? It was really fast paced. Like the Canucks, especially in the first period, like it had a playoff sort of speed to it. Obviously, a couple of goals the other way takes the wind out of your sails a little bit. But no, it was a pretty loose, pretty open game. Obviously, it tightened up a bit in the third as both teams are trying to battle for a point. But really, there was 2 lines for the Canucks tonight that were really good. The big one being that Pettersson line with Sherwood and DeBrusque. Obviously, we've seen sort of a resurgence of Elias Pettersson the last week or two here.
Absolutely.
Essentially just November. He was great tonight. Kiefer Sherwood is an absolute problem. He goes 1 goal +1, 7 shots on goal, and 10 hits. So they were just teeing him up all night. He's got a great shot. Scores that nice one off the pass from Pettersson, but Sherwood was the best player on the Canucks tonight.
Yeah, and Petey's got points 1, 2, 3 in 6 of his last 8 games, and 5 of those, 5 goals and 2 assists in his last 8 games. So that's great. I'm just doing the math: 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 8 points in the last 6. That's awesome. Hey, so do you look at Petey's production tonight, 2 assists, and do you kind of give him not a pass? That's not the right way, but I hear both Myers and Petey were at fault on that game winner.
Yeah, that one was interesting. So Pettersson makes a pretty good play on the back check on the game winner to break up, I believe it's Kreider, to sort of knock him off the puck. And then as he gets the puck at his blue line trying to turn up, Kreider takes it back from him. He's not able to make the play on him. Really, it's at worst what Petey gives up here is like a kind of weak 3-on-2. Right?
Okay.
Like a quick 3-on-2, but not a lot of space. Everyone's pretty tight together. And there's not like it's one of those ones where it's technically like something you don't want to give up, but
Yeah.
it's not a super high danger chance.
Okay.
I don't think, right? Just
Yeah.
coming in, it's Pettersson goes tries to jump on Kreider, right? So
Yeah.
Zibanejad sort of took it from Pettersson. Pettersson tries to put a bit of a pick on Kreider and really just misses him, but Myers just gives so much space here, right? What needs to
Yeah.
happen is Pettersson has technically given up a 3-on-2, which is a problem. But again,
Yep.
it's not the most dangerous looking 3-on-2. The defense needs to play it like a 3-on-2, and they didn't.
Sure. Yeah, Myers played it like he was going to go see someone that he knew, recognizing the first row of the stands. Like, what was he doing over there?
I don't know. It was super. It's one of those ones where it's like you've really hung in this game
Yeah.
against a really good team, right? The Rangers
Yeah.
are a heck of a hockey team. You've been able to put some goals in on Shesterkin, right? Pettersson's just not able to get enough of Kreider, but Kreider's a big guy, right? Tough to stop. But
Yep.
Myers just fully commits to one guy, right? As if
Mhm.
it's a 2-on-2, but it's
Yep.
not. It's a 3-on-2, and he never picks that up.
Yeah.
Susie gets a stick sort of in the passing lane, but not good enough.
Right.
And
Yes.
then Kreider's able to just beat Shelovs.
And okay, so tell me two things about this game, then we can move on. How did Lekkerimäki play? And I noticed that Susie's ice time was second lowest of all the defensemen, except for Juleson, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lekkerimäki, he's not getting a lot of space out there.
Okay. Yep.
I think that's the big part of his game. Like obviously the shot is there, and I think he thinks the game very well, but he's not creating space or finding that open space. And I got to imagine part of that is jumping up, a couple of levels pretty quick here, and there's just a lot less space out there. Guys closing on you pretty quick. But even on the power play tonight, he's on power play 1. He's playing out of the bumper. They moved him around a little bit on the power play 2. I don't know if he touched the puck more than twice on the power play tonight. Like they just couldn't create that. And Miller not being in the line is a big part of that. Miller creates a lot of threat on the power play and is really good at opening up that bumper spot. But they just, he wasn't really finding a lot of room tonight. Susie, on the other hand, that pairing is really an issue right now. The Myers Susie pairing. Susie gets credit with an assist, which is nice, but he just like that one goal is sort of the epitome of how their games are going right now. They are just fighting the puck. It's just not good. To go out and get a guy like Eric Brandstrom has been obviously super valuable, but they need to go out and get a top 4 guy at some point. Now, obviously, there's some rumors around that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're pretty close to something like that happening, where we can then split that pairing up and get a little bit more defensive skill and prowess in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah. By the way, it's so awesome to have everyone here, both on YouTube and on X. Parker and I, we are going to do like a kind of 11:05 stop tonight. So a warning, we might not get a lot of time to get to your feedback tonight, but next Monday, we're going to have a lot of time to get to all of your feedback. So I encourage you to keep leaving comments, asking questions, and encourage you guys to answer each other's questions and reply to each other's comments. Parker and I will highlight as we need to, but because of the 5 games and all the storylines, just a heads up that we might not get to a lot of people tonight. Awesome. Oh, Parker, I think you're muted.
You're right. So if you're on the YouTube side, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because we're going to have, like Clay just said, a lot of time to answer your questions on next Monday's show.
Yes.
Overall, that's the that's this game in a nutshell. From tonight, they were. They weren't the better team analytically. They expected goals was like 63-37 at 5-on-5. So not great. If you bring all situations into account, it evens up a little bit, 57-43. High danger chances were essentially dead even. Scoring chances were essentially dead even, just more shots on the Rangers side. But just one that didn't go their way.
Wow. Okay. So entertaining game. The better team won. Make excuses all you want, but we were missing Miller, Besser, 2 of our top 4 forwards or top 3 forwards and our starting goalie. But you have to play the guys that you have. So be interesting. I know we're going to do a quick preview maybe at the end, but Ottawa's not going to be an easy game either. So They got a long time to think about it, though. It's crazy.
Yeah, I
There's
do
a
want to
gap.
mention the Canucks. So analytically, the Canucks had 5 guys with an expected at 5-on-5 expected goals percentage above 50. They had 5 guys tonight. Um, at just above 50%, 54 was Noah Juleson, and Eric Brandstrom was just above that. So those two in tandem there on the third pair, and then it is that first line. What's right now the first line with Miller and Besser away,
Yeah.
being DeBrusk, Sherwood, and Pettersson. DeBrusk at 66%, Sherwood at 75, and Pettersson at 77. So when that line was on the ice, I mean, obviously they score, they have a 2-1 advantage in actual goals. So it's pretty much how it worked out. But they outshot the other team 10-5. Of course, it was like 14-8. That was the one silver lining in this game, is that it looks like Pettersson's looking pretty good, with DeBrusk, and obviously Sherwood can seemingly play wherever he wants in the lineup.
Yeah, and it's funny. Last thing I'll say about Sherwood for this game, Parker, or about Sherwood is, we both talked about how we could see him in the top 6, pretty given his skill and everything. And then someone will say to me, "Well, he's only in the top 6 because Besser's injured." I said, "No, because Lecker Mackey is Besser's replacement." So I really love what you said. 7 shots, 10 hits. He's a beast, and he's he's going to give the amazing effort every shift. So unsung hero for sure. Just give it to him right now.
Yeah, he was very, very good.
Yes.
All right, should we touch on the other 4 games really quick here?
I think we can package Chicago and Nashville together. The two kind of weak Central Division teams, 1 win, 1 loss. The Chicago game was a little loose. The Nashville game I didn't see, so I don't know how loose that one was. But 1 win, 1 loss. What stood out to you for those pair games? I guess.
Yeah, Canucks looked pretty good against Chicago.
Yeah.
This was a really good game for Pettersson. He dominated the faceoff circle. He just had a really good night. Quinn Hughes is a problem, as he continues to be. Brandstrom scores a good goal. Shelov's had a really good game against Chicago as well. That was nice to see after he goes to the AHL and puts up a good game. So he sort of gets back-to-back wins there. And then that Nashville game, it's Lankinen had a bad night, right?
Yeah.
And it's been a couple in a row now where, it's potentially a workload thing, right? It was something that we talked about, and there's been conversation at length. And I've, you and I said, I was like, I'm not too worried about workload, because when you do get Demko back, that workload's going to drop pretty significantly. But that's why you saw Shelov start tonight, right? That's why they went back to him. Because they clearly think that Lankinen needs a couple days off after a pretty bad performance in Nashville. But really, I don't think the Canucks played terribly in Nashville. The Pettersson with the 1T, that was great to see. That was just a little taste of the past there, which is great that he's doing that. And it started that one goal where he gets the puck and everyone's excited for him to shoot, and then he does it and he passes, and you sort of hear the crowd lose a little bit, but Hughes gives it right back to him.
Yes.
And then Kiefer Sherwood again in this one too, right? Just skates in over the line, gets a little pass here, and just fires it. He's got such a good shot. And like I said, he can be a weapon anywhere on this lineup.
Yeah, and I think a couple of things. You're right about Lankinen and Parker, the workload, and every good goalie, if they see the puck, they should be able to stop it, right? It's you beat goalies through screens, tip-ins, rebounds, everything. But yeah, for Stamkos to beat him kind of point blank, I know Stamkos is good, but we're starting to see more goals go in on Lankinen that we didn't see go in at the start of the season. And of course, the other thing is the penalty kill. They went 0 for 2. 2 power play goals for Nashville. And I don't know. I get it. I get it. It's called a man advantage. You're supposed to be at a disadvantage. I get that it's 5-on-4. I get that if you play the diamond, sometimes if you get outnumbered, down by the crease. But man, I don't know how many times, Parker, the Canucks give up a power play goal or shorthanded goal, power play goal, I should say, to the other team, where it's just a cross-ice pass and Myers is on the ground or Soucy's on the ground, and or they're not making a good read, and I don't, or maybe it's the forward's not coming down fast enough, or the second D part. I don't know, but it did not look good against Nashville for sure.
Yeah, special teams hasn't been the strong suit for the Canucks, right? Well, the funny thing is, like,
statistically, they're still in the top half.
Statistically, they're fine, right? 21.5 on the power play, 81 on the PK.
Yes, 81 on the PK. Yeah.
Right, which is pretty good. But then you have other teams where you see what they have, and you're like, oh, that's The Devils are at 29% on the power play, 85% on the PK. The Rangers tonight, obviously, right? Their power play, they mentioned on the broadcast, they had only had 2 power plays in the last 3 games, because teams have been avoiding getting penalties against them like the plague, because they're clicking at, almost 25%. Not to mention their PK is at 89%, right? So they are dominant on special teams. The Canucks are, coming into this year, we saw them as, a top 8 team in the league, right? Team that we'd say, hey, they're going to be, top 2 in the Pacific. If you take 2 from every division, we're there in the top, the second round, essentially, with a shot to get farther. You want to be, one of the better teams at special teams. That's part of it, especially once you do get into the playoffs, right? There's the cliche that, there's no penalties called in the playoffs. Actually not true. Teams play harder and it feels like less gets called, but statistically the amount of penalties are the same. So they need to get things clicking. They need to get the zone entries worked out. Because it's just too stagnant. Yeah.
All right, let's keep going backwards. Islanders game. I was there. Brutal. The highlight was Jonathan Lekkerimäki with the one-timer, and that was it.
Yeah. This is a game I watched bits and pieces of it. I was out with some friends that night, but
good choice. Yeah. Good choice.
Well, we were at a restaurant watching the game, so it wasn't that great. But 2 defensemen, or Tyler Myers, you had a goal from that Lekkerimäki goal was great. What was that, like in the first couple minutes or something like that?
3 minutes in. Yeah.
Fantastic. He shows off that shot a little bit there. But man, they just got shelled. This was a bad night, another bad night for Lankinen, right? Allows 4 goals. But they just didn't have it.
Parker, we had 6 shots on goal after 2 periods. And then, sure, we had 20 in the third to make it respectable, the difference. But that Islanders are just sitting there and letting us shoot from the points and whatever, whatever.
Yeah, it's exactly what we've been doing the last year, right? Whenever if the Canucks are up by a goal going into the third, the shots are going to be 14-5 the other way, but, they're not going to score very often.
Yeah. Interesting, Parker, at the game. I'm not sure if it came across, or maybe you didn't hear it if you're at a bar or a restaurant or whatever. Horvat was starting to get boos every time he touched the puck, especially on the power play. It was interesting.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. A slight boo, but it was a boo for sure. Yeah. Not a lot of highlights here. Lekkerimäki's goal, Myers a late one, one that got called back went off Höglander's hand as opposed to a stick, but really the Islanders deserved to win. And Rick Tocchet gave full credit to Patrick Wall and his coaching style and said they were just better than us.
Yeah, and he had he even said, right, like, I don't want any questions on our players. This one's on me. Right.
Oh, that's the one. Yes. Yeah. Okay, one more backwards. Yeah. At least it's a win.
Yep. Calgary game. They scored one late in the first, which took the wind out of the building a little bit, but the Canucks got one right to start the second period with a nice little Pettersson tip. This was sort of the building of Elias Pettersson with a nice one there. You get a Pew Suter goal, who has been really good. Man, like, this is his sixth of the year.
Yeah, that's the one JT Miller drew like everyone to him, remember? And then they even went on a line change.
Yeah, there's that one picture that was making the rounds on Twitter of like the Canucks scored 3 seconds later, and it's a picture of the broadcast, and there's 5 Calgary Flames defensemen in a big box and just JT Miller on the wall. Like, that's strange. A huge defensive breakdown. So a nice play by JT, and Suter's able to just beat Vladar. And then you have Brandstrom with the insurance goal in the third, which was just a shot from the point.
Yeah. Branson's great. Hey, like aside from Hughes, Branson is the next best defenseman getting their shots through. But I've heard people complain, Parker, that our Canucks offense is too one-dimensional. It's just get it to the point and then try and get a shot from the point. Like, they don't work it down low enough. They either score off the rush or they wind up from the point. They don't do a lot down below.
I don't know if that's super true. I think it's super line by line dependent, right?
Okay,
when you have the Hughes pairing out there, they definitely run it through the point a lot. But when guys like Garland are out there, there's a lot, and it's really just because he spins around down low a lot. But it feels like it gets worked down low a lot. But then what it also does is it pulls so many guys down, right? Like on this Brandstrom goal, by the time he shoots it, like there's one guy above the hash marks for Calgary.
True.
Right? Because of a nice play by DeBrus to take to the outside. So I think that's a bit of their strategy is to try to pull guys down and open things up at the point. And maybe they are, lower percentage shots from the blue line, but it does
Yeah.
create, some of that offense.
Yeah.
I wonder, I don't have like the Canucks overall shooting percentage in front of me, but I don't feel like it would be bad based on what we've seen so
Right.
far.
Sure, that's fair. Great point though about if you have forwards, aggressive forwards like DeBrusque, Petey, Garland, Sherwood, who go to the net, get down to the below the dots, and forcing the blue liner, the opposing forwards to at least think to come down a bit. That's a really really good point. And I do like the way that Sherwood, I do like the way that Pettersson. So there's certain forwards that are getting in the front of the net and getting deflections, getting screens. But we need more of that. We need more of that for sure, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that was a good 20-minute wrap up of 5 games.
Yeah, that's the best we've ever done for sure. Now what?
Oh,
We got 20 minutes or so to talk about
lots of
all
stories.
the other stuff that's going on. Obviously, we have JT Miller, Demko, Besser. Who else?
Yeah.
There's
Garland. Well, Garland's a good story. Apparently, he's going to the hospital right now. So
yeah, and hopefully he'll be. That's one of those ones where I think the Canucks don't play till Saturday, right? So maybe we'll see if he makes that trip out or if he stays back. But
sure.
I don't think he'll. I was surprised he played tonight, frankly, because he missed
Maybe-
practice. But
Maybe his wife just said, "Go. They need you. They're already down JT and Brock."
yeah, and he had a great game. He
did.
scores a nice goal. But yeah,
Okay, well, the big one, and I think we can talk about this respectfully without sensationalizing it or speculating, is but it's news. We got to talk about it. Is JT Miller given an indefinite? So it doesn't always mean long, but it does mean we don't know. That's the whole definition of indefinite. Personal leave of absence or to attend to personal matters. I was pretty shocked when I read this morning.
yeah, it's one of those things that just sort of came out of the blue, especially on a game day, right? You're not expecting to see that.
Good
coming.
point.
Obviously, in the last game, we see obviously Miller had not a good night on the ice, right? That one play on the penalty kill he was struggling on, and then we did end up seeing essentially him be stapled to the bench for the last 14 minutes.
Never saw that.
You gotta
Yeah,
imagine, if you've got personal things going on that are, just constantly in the back of your mind, if there whatever might be going on, you can definitely see how that might translate onto the ice and result in a guy not playing his best. So.
Sure.
Hopefully all the time that he gets helps whatever he's working through. But I saw some, obviously there's like the speculation and stuff, but I even saw some people say it, like some of the signing events over the last week that they saw him at, like he just seemed out of it a little bit. So it seems like it's been something that's been looming for maybe a little bit, but hopefully he can take the time he needs to get back and help the team when he can.
Yep, and we don't have to talk about the effect it has on the team. We know you lose your number one center, everyone just gets elevated, and then you simply the depth isn't there against the really good teams. So we'll have to watch that. That'll be obviously something that we have to recognize when it comes to actually analyzing on the ice, but off the ice, obviously we hope that everything works out for JT Miller and his family, and then he's back whenever he can get back.
Yeah. So it looks like he's not going to travel with the team for the 6-game road trip. Obviously we have planes. So if he's, if things get rectified and he can come back in halfway through the trip or whatever, that'll obviously happen. When we say he's not traveling, it doesn't mean that he necessarily won't make it, but that's what indefinite means. It's not, we don't know. So could be a bit of time. But as we said, it's, any coach is going to tell you it's next man up, right? That's the job that they have. You're going to see more of Elias Pettersson, and thank goodness Elias Pettersson's playing really well right now. Hopefully Brock Besser's back in the next couple of games, and if he's skating, which it sounds like he is, maybe that's not Saturday, but maybe that's Tuesday, right? Give him another whole week to get back in the lineup, right? The addition of Thatcher Demko potentially, right? That could help during this time. You got guys like Atu Ratu, who I think are playing quite well, right? So there's definitely, it's definitely a big hole to fill. But it's we've seen this team battle without some star players before.
Yeah, you're right on, Parker, about the next man up mentality. We talk about that in any type of sport or team thing, but it was very interesting to see. I think it was Jeff Patterson that mentioned that even the mood at practice today was subdued because obviously his teammates care for him and they need him on the ice, and they care for him on and off the ice. So, yeah, it's a story. We won't ignore it. We won't speculate, but we have to acknowledge that it's going to be a big story and a big hole going forward for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's go to Brock, his line mate. What are we hearing? He's skating?
He apparently skated today,
Yeah.
which is great. We still don't know what the actual injury was, right? I mean, we didn't know if it was concussion. We didn't know if it's like a jaw thing. We saw, obviously, Darnell Nurse have a very similar hit that he took last week from Ryan Reeves.
Oh,
And that
brutal.
one ended up being like a whiplash issue, I
Yeah.
think was what it was. Which if you saw the picture of Darnell Nurse, like the freeze frame of his neck facing like, or his head facing like that way, not good, not not what the body's designed to do.
Yes.
Man, just that really just drives home the fact that these suspensions are too short, man.
Well,
Like
it's
5 games for, or 3 to 5 games or whatever it ends up being for, a headshot that's going to take guys out for well past that time based on,
Yeah.
concussion protocols and things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously I don't like Darnell Nurse. That's not, but I also don't like Ryan Reeves very much. And he really should have had that. That's got to be more than 5 games. It's got to be more than 3.
Yeah.
The headshots that are, especially on any star players, that there's nothing that you can really do to defend yourself if a guy's just going to go headhunt you like that. And yeah, hopefully we get Besser back. Like I said, I have my doubts it would be for Saturday, but
Yeah.
if he's getting back on the ice, you give him that one extra game, come back for the Bruins on the 26th. But yeah, it's been 6 games without him, right? This entire
Wow.
homestand, there was no Brock Besser. And they only win 2
Wow.
of those games.
Never thought about that. It's been 6 already. I think Austin Matthews has either missed 6 or 7 or 8, and I heard some commentary about that's how Mitch Marner needs to step up and has stepped up, and that's what we're kind of seeing with PD now with both Brock out and now Miller out. So, there's one other thing I was going to say about that when you're talking about Brock. Oh shucks. Okay, it'll have to come back to
I'll
me.
just say at least Brock's not in Germany getting treatment.
Yes.
Like Austin Matthews is.
Yes, that is true.
That's a plus.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Darnell Nurse, yes, I don't like him either, but I want to see him mess up or score on his own net. I don't want to see him get shoulder check to the head. Yes, yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah,
that was brutal.
my point is I am not biased towards Darnell Nurse. Is what I was trying to.
Yeah, no, for
I
sure.
was trying to get across.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So that's is that all the big stuff?
Well, there's Demko too, I guess. So
Demko.
I love. Yeah, I was gonna joke around. I love how you said, yeah, imminent is the word they're using. I like that word better than Popliteus or whatever it is that he has. So it's good. It's good if he's skating and if it's soon. What's imminent to you? A week, 2 weeks, maybe?
I don't know. Again, dictionary definition is about to happen. So, like to me, it's like, what's the definition of a few versus several, right? Like you can get into all the mind games a little bit, but to me, imminent means like within the week, right? Now, I have my doubts on that, right? Like I really have my doubts on that. But we have the word imminent. So who knows, right? Again,
and
the Canucks play play Saturday and then they play next Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hey, what do obviously Saturday, sure, don't put him in for that, but maybe he gets one of those back-to-backs next week if we're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I that's a good point. When you say imminent, soon, a week, maybe he plays one of those 2 back-to-back. Yeah, because the Canucks probably off tomorrow, practice Thursday, travel Friday. Okay. I'm excited. Yeah. And I'm thinking my Archer Shelov's bet for our Canucks After Dark pool. What a horrible guess I did. Well, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, probably not great.
Okay, so Demko imminent, Besser skating, Joshua has returned, Miller out, Garland about to have a kid. Is there anyone else we need to talk about? Oh,
I
Desharnais, I
don't.
guess. Desharnais hasn't played in a bit.
Desharnais has not played. He's been hurt, right?
Forbert's on IR. What the heck? Everything's going on with this team.
Yeah, Forbert's on IR.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Oh, we got to see defensive Elias Pettersson, but
Yeah.
we didn't actually get to see him.
DPD got called
Um,
up. That's right. That's right.
he skated in warm up though, right? I think in one game.
I think so. I think
But
so.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
most of the things that have happened. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of guys that the Canucks could add, right? We were all excited about, oh, Dakota Joshua, it's like a big trade deadline acquisition, right?
Right.
And then
Right.
it's like, okay, now you don't have JT Miller, Brock Besser, and you still don't have Thatcher Demko. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Oh, that also
And
that third defensive pairing we went out and got, they're both gone too. Like it's and maybe that wasn't the best time to trade Daniel Sprong.
yeah, I know. It's just the timing was so weird, right? Didn't Besser get hurt? No, Besser got hurt on a Wednesday night, right? And then Sprong or whatever night, and then Sprong got traded the day after,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Thursday,
Besser got hurt on
Friday.
the Thursday. I think Sprong
Yeah,
got traded on Friday or
Friday.
something like that.
Well, that just shows you how much he didn't fit in Red Talk's plans. Then I guess, right?
Yep. Yeah. But now with Miller away, it would be maybe nice to have him kicking around still, but he'll go do a little bit in Seattle, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So when Besser, it's funny with Aturatu as our fourth, right? You slide Suter back to the middle. So you're now without Miller, you're going Petey, Bluger, and Suter, whatever, 2-3, and then Aturatu on the fourth. Niels Aman isn't even part of this group yet. When Besser gets back, do you think they'll find a place for Lekaramaki, or do you think it's like, thanks, bud, go play some more in Abbotsford?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Really, to me, the philosophical question is, Baines or Lekaramaki.
Yeah,
Because right now you sort of have Hoglander playing the right with Baines on the left. You could take Baines out, put Hoglander back on his strong side, move Lekaramaki.
good point.
And to me, man, I like RSD Baines, but he's not been adding a ton,
Yeah,
right?
what does he do?
Games,
Yeah,
9 games, the 1 goal, that's it.
yeah, yeah,
Not creating much, and he's been getting power play 2 time as well.
yeah,
I would say once Besser comes back, I'm probably sending Baines down, keeping Lekaramaki up.
yeah.
Because I think that provides just a little bit more just dynamic to the offensive side.
I'd agree that Michael coaching staff needs to remind the players on the power play there are no 3-pointers, so an inside shot is just as good as an outside one.
They should. We need a 3-point line.
3-point line. Oh man. Okay, let's take a quick look. We can preview. We don't have to preview the whole 6-game road trip because we only will be back having a show on Monday night after just one of these 6 games. So who are we playing on Saturday?
Canucks are going to Ottawa to play the Senators,
okay.
who are struggling a little bit. They're 8-9-1, so they're doing about what they did last year. So
Okay.
it seems here. They lost to the Oilers tonight, pretty bad, 5-2. Vasily Podkolzin with a 2-point night.
Yeah.
The Sens are struggling. They've lost 3 straight. They are playing Vegas on Thursday, so smart money is on them having lost 4 straight by the time we get to them. And the Canucks should be fairly rested. Right? They have, I assume they probably travel Friday, so they had a couple days. They got a couple days at home. They'll probably practice. I would say maybe a day off tomorrow and then practice hard and then travel on Friday.
I'm looking at the standings, Parker. Ottawa is 8-9-1, as you said, but only a -1, which makes sense. They're 8-9-1 is basically 500. Boston is 8-9-3, so just 2 losses extra, and they're -21. I guess that's why Jim Montgomery got fired. But like, that's so crazy. Boston's goal differential is -21.
Yeah, they got smoked by Columbus yesterday. They lost 7-2 to the Stars the week before, or not even the week before, like 4 days before.
Yeah.
Boston is struggling. They lost 8-2 to the Hurricanes a few weeks ago, 5-2 to Dallas. Like when they're losing in a big way.
Right.
It is crazy. Like their overall record, like they have like a 700 points percentage under Jim Montgomery.
Yeah.
in his tenure there, right?
I
Like,
know. I know.
what a short leash. But
So
the Bruins probably see themselves at the end of that window that we've been expecting to close for 10 years now.
yeah.
Seems like it's finally closing potentially.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just trying to, they say, hey, maybe a coaching change gives us one last push
Right.
with this group before they have to actually rebuild.
But you could kind of predict this. Like you lose Krejci and Bergeron; those are two pretty darn good players. You still have Pastrnak, you still have Marchand, you have underachieving Lindholm and Zadorov. By the way, when your centers are Zaka, Frederick, and Charlie Coyle, like what? How much more can you expect?
Yeah, and you got to wonder. I mean, look, Marchand's taking a bit of a step back this year, right?
Yeah,
He's what,
yeah,
like 37 now, 36.
sure.
You got to think for Boston, it's hey, we just spent all of our money on these free agent guys from
Yeah,
Vancouver, Lindholm and Zadorov, and they are
yeah,
both not performing, right?
yeah,
And maybe they're
yeah,
saying, hey, if we have any chance, we need these two guys to get going, and we're
sure.
going to need a new coach to do that. Yeah, Lindholm, 20 games this year, he has 2 goals,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he has, Kiefer Sherwood has more goals than Elias Lindholm.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's Atu Ratu, same amount of goals per game as Elias Lindholm. Yeah, that's
yeah,
I gotta think that's what it is, because obviously Zadorov is they paid him so much money.
yeah.
Which I know a lot of people here are looking at Susie and Myers and being like, man, we should have kept Zadorov. Go watch a Boston Bruins game. He was great for us in the playoffs last year. He's not the answer.
Yeah.
Especially not at whatever figure he's making, $5 million till 2030.
Yes. Yes. One last story. So that was a big story, the Montgomery firing, and then Ovechkin out week to week. You saw that knee injury. He's having an awesome season, obviously, chasing Gretzky.
That
Yeah, too bad.
sucks. That sucks so much. Like, it was one of those things where, it was like, oh, he if he has a really good year, he can get there this year. And then
Yeah.
he comes out and scores 15 goals in 18 games to
Yeah.
start the season. And it's like, oh, he actually, like, he might score 65 this year. like
Yeah.
he might tie his career best is essentially what he's on pace for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks to see him get
Yeah.
hurt because, he's only had like 20 something goals left
Yeah.
until he hit that mark.
Yeah.
Now it gets, week to week, probably an MCL is what some of the thought is,
Mm-hmm.
then it starts to be like, okay, well, does he get there this year? I'm sure any sort of knee injury at 39 can't be great. This guy's missed like 19 games in his career. Like, it
Yeah.
takes a lot to keep him out, and anything that's, he's shown a little bit of that sort of vintage big power forward Ovechkin a little bit at times this year.
Yeah.
And you got to worry a little bit about that with any injury to the knee.
Yeah. No, he's so durable. Actually, I'm reading the NHL.com article now. In addition to being a prolific goal scorer, Ovechkin has also been durable. In his 20 NHL seasons, he's missed a total of 35 games because of injury, the longest stretch being 6 games. So in 20 seasons, he's missed 35 games. That is unbelievable.
That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, you just look at his list, like 81, 82, 82, 79, 72, 79, 78, right? Like, lockout season, 48 of 48, 78, 81, 79, 82, 82, 81. Like, he didn't miss, he never missed time, right? He played every game in the COVID seasons.
Unbelievable.
The last few years he's missed a few games. And I think one of those must have been like an all-star game suspension for not going. Like, he's a monster. I was excited to see him break it. Hopefully this doesn't keep him out for long and he can just keep up where he left off.
So you want to see him break it because you like Ovechkin. It's not because you don't like Gretzky. Like we were seeing history in front of us.
Yeah, I think records are, especially any Gretzky record that can be broken. Like, that's cool.
That's true.
There's
That's true.
He's, especially because that's, if you think of, like, that's sort of my, late, like, my childhood era, right?
Yep.
You think about when he came into the league, right? 05, 06, him and Sid. I'm like 8 years old when those guys entered the league, right? So
I was 30. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Yeah, great.
Yeah, right. But they've been in the league as long as I've been, not as long as I've been watching. I've been watching before that, but most of my life he has been just the goal scorer, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's it's super cool to, especially because we didn't know if he'd get here. Obviously the COVID seasons, and then, last year, slowing down a little bit, only getting the 31 goals. And we're starting to think, you look back to like 5 years ago, people were like, yeah, I don't think he gets there because he'd have to score at like a 40 goal pace for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And turns out he still can do that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a really good point. There was a point a couple of years ago where I said there's no way, and look where we are. Pretty crazy. Pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very, very good. 27 shy of breaking Gretzky's record.
It's crazy.
27 shy. Do you think he does it this year?
I think so. As long as he doesn't miss too much time. If he
Right.
misses like 8 games, yeah, I think he, I mean, that's then saying he's going to score like 45 goals this year, but
Yeah.
the way he's been looking, I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, that Cowboys seem very surprising. Yeah, they're so good so far.
Yeah.
So far.
But he's under contract next year too, so he's not going anywhere.
Right.
Maybe he misses it by a few, and maybe he plays in Vancouver early next year. That might be cool, because I think they play here in like January. So on the run he was on, there was like, if he just keeps scoring hat tricks, maybe that it happens here. But no, that's one of those things you want to see happen at home. You have to imagine.
Yes. Yeah. Someone did ask me, actually, it was Justin that asked me on my show, is any chance that he gave me the date that Washington series, any chance that Ovechkin does it against us? I said, well, I think a lot of players set records against us. I remember Gretzky's, right? Against us. Yeah.
And then you had like Stamkos getting his 500th, and that was a big thing more recently.
Amazing.
But yeah.
Amazing. All right. Okay. We got a lot of time to talk about that too. So we did a pretty good job, I think, of nailing the big stories and a quick cursory recap of the 5 games in the past 8 nights. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So next week,
Yep.
again, we got 1 game to recap next Monday night. So you guys better come prepared with your questions. It's on you guys next week to help us fill the time. It's going to be a bit of a throwback to the old August days of Canucks After Dark. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of, I'm hoping there's like some good news to talk about. I'm hoping there's some Besser and Demko news to talk about.
Yep.
Maybe some Miller news if we're lucky. But really, I'm hoping there's not more news like we've had lately. Let's just have a good chill week, beat Ottawa, and then we can have a nice fun show next Monday.
So to wrap up, this is so easy. Well, it doesn't mean we're right, but I mean, the math is easy. We have 1 game to predict. Okay, let me think. Okay, I'm ready.
I'm going to go 1-0 this week.
Me too. 1-0. Canucks win.
Yeah. Being the Senators makes me a little bit more confident. I'm curious to see what the odds will be on that game. I imagine it'll be close to a coin flip. Ottawa have a little bit of a home edge. I think Canucks are a bit of a better team. I think 1-0 is a decent bet.
I think Jeff's saying not the Canucks will be ready. They'll be ready with all their questions next week. Can't wait, Jeff. Thanks, buddy.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, folks. We are going to wrap it up there. Thank you for joining us here late on a Monday. Like I said, if you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, make sure notifications are on, all that good stuff. If you missed any part of the show, you can find it on your favorite podcast platform or just rewind here on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter, Parker's Pucks, Canuck Clay. I don't know if you're making the blue sky move yet, Clay, but things are happening over there. Things are slowly moving over, but we'll see if we can. I don't know if they do streaming, but we'll see what we can do.
The only blue sky I got right now is right there behind me.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, we match.
Any parting words this evening, Clay?
No, just looking forward to the Canucks maybe finding their game a little bit, going on the road. We always hear that those stories can be good for bonding, community, time, quality time, all that kind of stuff. But and there's a lot of stuff. There's always stuff to talk about. So we just hope for the best, especially for JT Miller. That's the biggest news today, and continue recovery for Besser and Demko and Garland, a new addition to the family. So lots of good news, hopefully, in the next few days.
Look, this is a road team.
Yeah,
from what we've seen, they've been way better on the road. All right, folks. Thank you all for joining us. Have a good night. We will see you next Monday.